Hi everyone, this is Professor Benjamin, and this is the walkthrough video of the introduction session for human geography. So I'm going to walk you through the PowerPoint in a couple seconds, but I want to give you kind of a look over. So you'll see there's some additional videos here or articles for you to read, and these are really important for the session, so please don't skip over those. And you'll see here there's a video on location, place, and space. So these three terms are really important to understand. So as you're watching those videos, you want to take notes on what location is, and I'll touch on it a little bit, but absolute and relative location, what place means to us, and what space is. Okay, so there are important concepts here in terms of what those mean to us and what they mean in the terms of geography. The next one here is this YouTube video on how maps distort the world, and this is really important concept to understand. This is a little clip from a West Wing episode, and I don't know if those of you are as old as I am, but this was a popular TV show for years, and it's called The West Wing, and it talks specifically about why the distortion of maps is really important for us to understand and what implications that does for both society issues, political issues, environmental issues, economic issues. It can go on and on and on. So really important for you to watch this video and make sense of it as you're watching it. And then of course, there's a reading that goes along with it that talks about the distortion of these maps. So when we look at a map is actually taking something that's round and putting it on a flat surface. And when we do that, some sort of distortion happens, meaning some things are squished together on the map when in fact they're farther apart. Some things are made to be smaller when actually they're larger. So when we take something that's supposed to be on a round surface and put it on a flat surface, there are problems with that map. So for a long time, many of us, well, forever, all of us have been probably taught on a flat map. Well, a flat map doesn't represent a sphere. And with this comes problems. So a lot of the countries that we've looked at in the past, their size may be off. And it's important for us to understand that and understand what the implications are of that. So really important for you to understand. It looks like I forgot here to add in our discussion post for the week. So I'm going to have to do that in a minute when I'm finished. But that's there. So I'm going to walk you through the PowerPoint real quick and talk to you a little bit about what's in the PowerPoint and what's important, and just a little lecture. There are some embedded videos in this lecture, so I think it's important for you to read those as well. In this PowerPoint deals with the first chapter of our online textbook. And again, remember, you can find the online textbook right up here. So here is the link for the online textbook. You can download it to your computer. Here is the citation for it. Also, you'll see under the introduction description will tell you what sections of that textbook we're going to cover. We have to jump around a little because the textbook isn't in the order that we cover content. And so for this session, we're going to cover sections 1.1 through 1.7 of the textbook. So I'm going to bring up the PowerPoint, and here is the PowerPoint presentation. So the first part of the PowerPoint presentation talks about geography. It's really important. This is a lost art. A lot of high schools aren't covering geography anymore, but it's essential that we know where things are, why things happen in the world, and most of the time, those things happen because of geography. Look at what's going on with specific wars. Take the Russian-Ukraine war. A lot of that has to do with geography, where things are located, why it's important for countries to take over other countries, and we're going to discuss that throughout the semester. There was just a New York Times article out about China trying to take a piece of land that belongs to India, so it's really important. It's something that goes on all the time. So the term geography comes from the Greek term geo, meaning the earth, and graphia, which means to write. So how do we write the earth? And it's really important for geographers to seek answers on where, why, and how. So really important, we're going to cover historical, cultural, political, and physical features of the earth. So the father of geography is Eratosthenes, and he wrote a book in the 3rd century that included climate zones, location of hundreds of cities, and coordinate systems. So really important for you to know who the father of geography is. And the 3 main ways that we look at the world are, we look at them in a chronological sense, which is historical viewpoints, what year did what happen, etc. We look at them systematically, which is a sociological viewpoint, so you can see how sociology ties into geography. And then we look at them spatially too. So that's the geographic way. We look at spatially where things are, why they're spaced apart, etc. The next thing that we're going to cover are those spatial perspectives. So you need to know what relative location is, what absolute location is, what lines of longitude are, what lines of latitude are, where the South Pole is, the North Pole, prime meridian, equator. You also need to know in there where the Tropic of Cancer is, the Tropic of Capricorn, the Arctic Circle, the Antarctic Circle, the North Pole, the South Pole. So really important that you know where those locations are for our midterm exam. Okay, and here's a video on what absolute and relative location is. I'm going to let you guys look that over so that you understand what those are. But our textbook points out where these are located and why they're important. So knowing where longitude and latitude. So remember, longitude lines go long ways. Latitude lines go this way. So longitude lines break the world into east and west. Latitude lines go from west to east, right? And they break the world into north and south. Really important for you to understand. 0 degrees is where the equator is located, and that is 0 degrees latitude, right? The longitude line that's most important is the prime meridian, okay? And that's what we see here is that line of longitude. So really important for you to understand that everywhere on the earth there is a specific spot. So where I'm sitting right now making this video, I have a longitude and latitude pinned where I am right now. Okay, so that's your absolute location. Your relative location is where you are, like in a vicinity. Like I'm in CCP building right now, so I am in relatively in this building. But my absolute location is exactly where I'm sitting in terms of longitude and latitude. So this video will help you a little bit with that. We now use a lot of GIS or geographic information systems, and this is really important for you to know. So GIS is a computer technology that creates advanced maps with the aid of satellite technology. We use GPS, which is Global Positioning System, which are satellites, to help us with those locations, okay? So things are bounced off of those satellites and it gives us precise locations. The tool that we use to show those locations is GIS, okay? And so they're the maps that we see. So if you have a cell phone, right, and you're looking on Google Maps or whatever map you use, Waze, whatever it is, that is GIS. So it's showing you the map. But the technology that's helping to create that map is what we call GPS or Global Positioning Systems, okay? And this is where we have the idea of distortion of maps and projections and how everything can go wrong, right? And you'll see here I have 2 other embedded videos that I want you to watch that talks to you about map projections and cartographers are individuals who make maps, what their dilemmas are. Remember, maps used to be made by hand, right? People used to sit there and draw things by hand. But now everything, of course, is done through what we call a GIS or geographical information system. And that's a fantastic major. If you want to talk about it with me, feel free to reach out. I love GIS. I think it's fantastic. Okay. Next, as we move on, important parts of the map. So any map that you see is really important to have a couple things. And we love maps because maps tell us a lot of things in a snapshot, right? We're in a fast-paced world. I don't want to read an article. I want you to show me a figure, some sort of graph or something, and give me a snapshot and have it color-coded, and I can easily see that. So we'll see this a lot in the upcoming political campaigns, right? You'll see red states and blue states, right? And they're just showing you a snapshot so that you can quickly look at it and say, okay, wow, I can see what's going on here, right? We can see where most people vote, right? All of those things are done in a snapshot. You don't need to read a 100-page article to see it in a snapshot. But all of these maps need specific things. So they need these 4 important things, okay? Compass rose, which shows you the direction of the map, right? So you know where north, south, east, and west is. A map key, which tells us the different symbols on the map and what they mean. There is a key, which tells, there's a scale. Now, one really important thing about scale that you have to remember is scale tells us the distance on a map and is actually equal to the Earth. So if there is you can see it here, right? So this line here, and my eyes are like going, but this line here, if I put it on a map and I use a ruler and I measure that off, that might equal 1 mile. So every time I put one of them down, it equals 1 mile. Okay, important thing to remember about scale, and this is where our brains get a little crazy, right? Because one thing means something in our everyday life, but it's opposite. So a large scale shows a smaller area, and that sounds crazy and weird, but a large scale map shows a smaller area, okay? Like a city, a town, okay, a smaller area. A small scale map actually shows us a larger area, okay? So a small scale map will show us like the world, okay, or the United States, or right? That is, so you got to trick your brain a little bit there. It's opposite of what you think it is, right? You would think a large scale map would show us a large area, but actually it's the opposite. Okay, so take note of that and remember that, okay? And then the next part of this PowerPoint talks about diffusion. So diffusion is really important, and this is how we spread something from one place to another, okay? And there's different types of diffusion, okay? There's 2 main types, expansion and relocation diffusion, and expansion has some subtypes under it, okay? And that's these: hierarchical, contagious, and stimulus. I have included this fantastic video from Mr. Sin, and throughout the semester, you're going to see there's going to be tons of videos from Mr. Sin. I love Mr. Sin. He's great. He does a fantastic job of explaining in layman's terms complex topics. These videos you should watch, and as you're watching these videos from Mr. Sin, take notes. And he is fantastic. He's going to help you on your midterm exam and your final exam. It is really important for you to watch these embedded videos because it's going to take you through what these terms mean and what they are, okay? The next topic we're going to cover is physical settings, and then we're going to cover human settings and regional settings. But I'm going to put that in part 2 of this video.